in order to access specific machine information from the main page or whichever page you're on, if you just come to this Analyze button and come down here to Machine Analyzer. What this is going to do is give you the option to look at what kind of information you'd like to see, narrow down to a specific date range, and then specific machines you'd like to look at. So for this example, let's just go in and let's look at auto track usage. And then as far as the date range, you can see here there's several different choices. If you had a very specific range you'd like to see, like maybe there was a couple days during harvest or even just a specific harvest season you'd like to look at, you can do that by custom dates. But what I like to do is sometimes just go in, and if we look at the lifetime of the machine, that gets us an overall view of this information based on the entire time that we've had this machine. So after we've chosen the time frame, then let's go down and choose the specific machine. So if we come down in here and let's say we own this combine, this S770. So we put our check mark in here. If you'd like, you can hide this filter over here. And then you can see over here that as we drop these little arrows down, we're going to get the specific information based on that report. So again, we're looking at the auto track usage. So if we come over here, we can see on this machine, the auto track percent that it's been active is a little over 71%. And there's also been some row sense activity on this as well. Some other information we can look at is maybe we want to see, like what kind of engine load does this machine have on it? So you can see here that it breaks it down into the different types of use of that machine, whether we're in the working state, whether we're in the transport state, or in the idle state. So when we're in the working state, we can see that this engine load on the machine is about 68.5%. When we're in transport mode, we're using about 52% of the engine load, and then idling over here is just about 11.5%. Some other information we can look at is maybe like fuel usage. There's lots of different things to see, but this one's always interesting. We look at the engine hours, and again, we're at the lifetime of the machine, so it's going to have the total hours of the machine, which on this one is 528. We can see how many gallons overall we've consumed, as well as the gallons per hour. Now, something interesting on this, especially this fuel usage report, is if we had maybe more than one machine. So maybe we have a second machine that we own as well. So if we simply put a check mark in that machine, you can see it added it down here to the list. So again, the other machine we've added has 481 hours. You can see that it's actually used 5,500 gallons of fuel, which is more than the other. And this really brings some attention over here is the fact that this machine we just added is using about 1.5 gallons more per hour than the first one we looked at. So, this example right here, we don't know exactly what's causing the difference, but it would definitely merit looking into that to see if there's some other information we can find to see the difference. If we think about that in a dollar figure, so we take that, 1.5 gallons an hour more, and we take that times the 481 hours that machine has ran, we've utilized 721 extra gallons. And we just take that times maybe $1.98 for a rough price for some dyed fuel. So we really have spent an extra $1,430 on fuel on this machine. So if I were an operator or owner, I would want to know, look into this and see what's maybe causing the extra fuel usage between these two machines. Some other information we can look at for those of you who are very analytical. If we come down here again, we choose this Analyze and we look at Machine Reports. So a couple things we can do on this Machine Reports page. We can actually look at scheduled reports or go in and add a scheduled report. I've added this one here, and what this is, if we look at fuel usage, I've scheduled a report that every day at 11 o'clock, the system's going to run a report on a specific machine to see how much fuel it's used. And what will happen is then that will actually email the email address that's associated with the organization that you're involved in. Something else we can do is look at some history. So you can see here that there's some fuel usage reports. Again, you can run daily, but there's a machine data report in here that's really interesting. So it's called a machine data package, and if we look at that, what this actually does is it downloads actually pretty involved spreadsheet to our computer that we can then look at. Once that's downloaded, you'll see down here we can open this up, and actually it really gives us 4 spreadsheets here to look at. Some engine hour information, some hours of operation. You can even go in and look at location. It puts a GPS pin at the different times the machine's been ran. And then the main one here we'd like to look at is the measurements. So if we come in here and we look at this measurement report, again, this is for maybe the more analytical folks in here, but you can see that there's literally thousands of lines of information here. But the nice part about it is we can put filters across the top here, and maybe we can really narrow down what we'd like to see. So again, we've kind of looked at the fuel usage on these machines for these reports. So if we just look at fuel consumed, so we select this fuel consumed, and again, it's going to put it in the different states like we saw in that report between idle and working and transport. But it also adds a few more as far as, idle with the grain tank not full, idle with the grain tank full, unloading while harvesting and not harvesting. So there's lots of different categories it'll break down. And then you can see here that it actually breaks it out by month. So again, there's lots and lots of information in here, but for those of you who really want to get specific or really like to analyze some information, this spreadsheet can be a very powerful tool. Another option that we have as a dealership is if we come back in here and we look at this machine analyzer. So we looked at how to compare 2 machines, but as a dealership, we would actually have access to lots of machines. So if we were to maybe put together a group of anonymous data for a large number of combines or tractors or sprayers, we would actually be able to put that anonymous data together and get kind of a benchmarking or sort of an overall usage based on a large group of machines. And then one thing that we could do is then figure out, where does your machine fit into there? Again, maybe it's compared to precision usage, or maybe it's looking at that fuel usage, or engine loads, or just productivity in general. There's lots of information that, like I said, as a dealership, we can put together then to have sort of an overall averages of what large groups of equipment's doing, and then figure out where yours fits in. So again, under this analyze, the machine analyzer and machine reports can really give us some powerful information to look at and get some good ideas of how we're using our machines and some different information on them.